The rainy night encounter. The thunder rolled across the city like a warning as Marcus Chen locked the front gate of Martinez Auto Repair. His muscles ached from 10 straight hours under car hoods, his fingernails permanently stained with grease that no amount of scrubbing could remove. At 34, he looked older, the weight of single fatherhood and endless bills etched into the lines around his eyes. His daughter Lily was waiting at his mother's apartment across town, probably already asleep with her worn teddy bear clutched tight. Marcus climbed into his 15-year-old pickup truck, the engine coughing to life like an old man clearing his throat. The radio crackled with static, so he drove in silence through streets that glistened like black glass under the streetlights. Rain hammered against the windshield, and he leaned forward, squinting to see through the downpour. The wipers moved in their tired rhythm, barely keeping up with the deluge. He was thinking about Lily's upcoming birthday, trying to calculate if he could afford both the bicycle she wanted and the overdue electric bill, when he saw the hazard lights blinking weakly through the rain. A car sat pulled halfway onto the shoulder of Riverside Avenue, one of the city's less safe neighborhoods, especially at this hour. Marcus's first instinct was to keep driving. "Mind your own business," his tired brain whispered. "You've got enough problems." But then he saw her. A woman in what looked like an expensive charcoal business suit stood beside a black luxury sedan, her designer heels sinking into the muddy shoulder. She held her phone up toward the sky, clearly searching for a signal that wouldn't come. Even from his truck, Marcus could see she was drenched. Her dark hair plastered to her face, her posture radiating frustration and fear. Marcus slowed down, his conscience winning the battle against his exhaustion. He pulled up behind her car and grabbed the emergency rain poncho from behind his seat. As he approached, she spun around, her eyes wide with alarm. Up close, he could see she was probably in her early 40s, with sharp features that spoke of boardrooms and authority, now softened by vulnerability and rain. "Car trouble?" Marcus called out over the sound of the storm. The woman's shoulders sagged with relief at seeing another person, though her eyes still held wariness. "It just died," she said, her voice hoarse. The engine made this grinding sound, and then nothing. "My phone has no signal here, and I've been standing here for 20 minutes. This neighborhood at night, I shouldn't be here." Marcus nodded, already opening her hood. "Let me take a look. You should sit in my truck where it's dry." She hesitated for a moment, clearly weighing her options, then nodded and hurried to his pickup. Marcus pulled a small flashlight from his pocket and peered into the engine. The problem revealed itself quickly: a snapped serpentine belt, probably worn through from age and poor maintenance. He could see other issues too, things that would cost thousands to fix properly at a dealership. But the belt he could handle right now. The rain soaked through his shirt as he jogged back to his truck's toolbox. The woman, Elena, according to the registration papers he glimpsed on her dashboard, watched him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Confusion maybe, or disbelief that someone was actually helping her. "The belt snapped," Marcus explained, showing her the frayed piece of rubber. "I've got a spare that should work temporarily. It won't be perfect, but it'll get you home safely." "How much?" she asked immediately, reaching for her purse. Marcus shook his head, already heading back to work. "Don't worry about it. Just get home safe." For the next 40 minutes, Marcus worked in the pouring rain, his fingers numb and clumsy as he installed the replacement belt. It wasn't easy work in these conditions. The rain made everything slippery, and his flashlight kept sliding off where he'd propped it. But finally, he heard the satisfying click of everything falling into place. "Try starting it now," he called out. The engine turned over smoothly, purring to life like it had never stopped. Elena stepped out of the truck, staring at her car in amazement, then at Marcus. He was completely soaked, streaked with oil and rain, shivering slightly in the cold. "You fixed it," she said, and there was something in her voice beyond mere gratitude, awe, perhaps, or shame. "Please let me pay you." That was at least an hour of work in terrible conditions. "Name your price." Marcus wiped his hands on his already ruined jeans. "It's late, you're stuck in a bad area, and I had the part. Consider it paying forward. Someone helped me once when I needed it. Maybe you'll help someone else someday." Elena opened her mouth to protest, but Marcus was already walking back to his truck. She called after him. "Wait, at least tell me your name." "I want to thank you properly." "Marcus," he said over his shoulder. "Marcus Chen. Just drive careful. The roads are slick." He climbed into his truck and pulled away before she could say anything else. In his rearview mirror, he watched her standing there in the rain, staring after him like he was a puzzle she couldn't solve. He didn't see her pull the business card from her jacket pocket, didn't see her write something on the back with a pen from her glove compartment before carefully tucking it into her purse. Marcus just drove toward his mother's apartment, thinking about how he'd explained to Lily why he was so late and so wet. He thought about the bicycle he probably still couldn't afford and the bills that would still be waiting in the morning. He didn't think about the woman in the expensive suit or the fact that she'd been driving a car worth more than he'd make in 5 years. He certainly didn't imagine that in 3 days she would walk into Martinez Auto Repair carrying a leather portfolio and an expression of absolute determination. He didn't know that Elena Rodriguez wasn't just any businesswoman, but the CEO of Rodriguez Industries, one of the city's largest commercial real estate development companies. He had no idea that she'd spent the last 72 hours thinking about nothing but the mechanic who'd helped her for free, who'd worked in a storm for a stranger and asked for nothing in return. Marcus Chen had no way of knowing that his simple act of kindness was about to change both of their lives forever. He just drove home through the rain, his clothes soaked and his wallet still empty, thinking about his daughter's smile and hoping tomorrow would be a better day. Sometimes the most important moments of our lives happen when we're not paying attention, when we simply choose to be decent human beings without expecting anything in return. The rain continued to fall on the city, washing the streets clean, as if preparing the world for something new to begin. And in her luxury apartment downtown, Elena Rodriguez sat at her desk, Marcus's name written in her precise handwriting, already making phone calls that would set extraordinary events into motion. The transformation, 3 days after the rainy night encounter, Marcus was elbow-deep in the engine of a 2008 Honda Civic when he heard the unfamiliar click of expensive heels on the concrete floor of Martinez Auto Repair. The shop was small, cluttered with tools and parts, smelling of motor oil and old coffee. It wasn't the kind of place that attracted people in designer clothes. Marcus straightened up, wiping his hands on a rag that only spread the grease around more. His breath caught when he recognized her. Elena Rodriguez stood in the doorway of his garage, looking completely out of place in a crisp navy pantsuit and pearl earrings. She carried a leather portfolio under one arm and held 2 cups of coffee in a cardboard carrier. "Marcus Chen?" she asked, though recognition flickered in her eyes. "The mechanic who saved me on Riverside Avenue?" Marcus nodded slowly, suddenly aware of how he must look in his stained coveralls and untucked work shirt. "Ms. Rodriguez, I didn't expect to see you again." "Is your car having problems already?" Elena stepped further into the garage, her heels navigating carefully around oil stains and scattered tools. "The car's fine, thanks to you. I had my regular mechanic look at it. He said that belt replacement was expertly done under difficult circumstances. He also said the car needs about $6,000 in additional work that's been neglected for years." She smiled ruefully. "Apparently I've been a terrible car owner." "Most people don't know what to look for," Marcus said diplomatically. "The important thing is you got home safe that night." Elena set the coffee carrier on a relatively clean workbench and opened her portfolio. "I spent the last 3 days trying to find you. Martinez Auto Repair isn't listed online. No website, no social media presence. I finally had to call every auto shop in the city until someone recognized the description of the mechanic who works here." Marcus felt a flutter of unease. "Is something wrong? Did I miss something with the repair?" "No, nothing like that." Elena pulled out a folder thick with papers. "I wanted to thank you properly, but every time I tried to figure out how, I realized a simple thank you wasn't enough. So I did some research. This shop, Martinez Auto Repair, is owned by Ricardo Martinez. You've worked here for 8 years. You're paid barely above minimum wage, despite being, according to Ricardo himself, the best mechanic he's ever employed. You work 6 days a week, sometimes 7. You have a 7-year-old daughter named Lily. You're a single father. Your wife passed away 4 years ago from cancer, leaving you with medical debt you're still paying off." Marcus's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "You investigated me? You had no right to dig into my personal life. I helped you because it was the right thing to do, not because I wanted something from you." Elena held up her hands in a gesture of peace. "You're absolutely right, and I apologize for the invasion of privacy. But Marcus, I'm not here to patronize you or make you feel small. I'm here because that night in the rain, you showed me something I'd forgotten existed in this city. Kindness without expectation, humanity without transaction, and I want to help you the way you helped me. I don't need charity, Marcus said stiffly, turning back to the Honda. It's not charity, Elena said firmly. She moved closer, her voice taking on a businesswoman's intensity. It's an investment. Marcus, I run Rodriguez Industries. We develop commercial real estate, shopping centers, mixed-use properties. For the past year, I've been planning a new automotive center on the east side. 6 bays, state-of-the-art equipment, customer lounge, the works. I need someone to run it, someone with integrity and skill. Someone who will treat customers honestly and build a reputation that reflects well on the property. Marcus stopped working, his hands frozen on the wrench. You want me to manage your garage? I want you to own it, Elena corrected. 51% yours, 49% mine. You run the day-to-day operations, make all the decisions about services and pricing. I provide the property, the initial equipment, and enough operating capital to get through the first year. After that, we split the profits according to ownership percentage. The wrench slipped from Marcus's fingers, clattering against the concrete. You're offering me a garage? A partnership? We met one time, in the rain, for less than an hour. Elena's expression softened, and for a moment, the corporate executive disappeared, replaced by the vulnerable woman from that stormy night. Marcus, I was 23 when I started my company. I had an idea, some borrowed money and more confidence than sense. I built Rodriguez Industries from nothing, working 100-hour weeks, sacrificing everything for success. And I won. By every measure, I won. I'm wealthy, powerful, respected in this city. She paused, looking around the cluttered garage with something like longing. But somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to simply be human, to help someone without calculating the return on investment, to connect with another person without an agenda. That night, stranded and scared, I was just Elena again. Not the CEO, not the woman on the cover of business magazines. Just a person who needed help, and you gave it without hesitation, without wanting anything back. Marcus leaned against the workbench, his mind racing. I have a daughter to think about. I can't take risks with her security. What if the garage fails? What if I can't make it work? Then you're no worse off than you are now, Elena said practically. But Marcus, you won't fail. I've seen how you work. I've talked to your boss, to customers, to suppliers. Everyone says the same thing. Marcus Chen is honest, skilled, and dedicated. Those qualities are rarer than you think, and they're exactly what builds successful businesses. For a long moment, Marcus stared at the papers in Elena's portfolio. He thought about Lily, about the cramped apartment they shared with his mother, about the bicycle he couldn't afford, and the college fund that didn't exist. He thought about working at Martinez Auto Repair until he was too old to turn a wrench, his skills and dedication earning him barely enough to survive. Why? He finally asked. Why would you do this for a stranger? Elena smiled, and it transformed her entire face. Because 4 years ago, when my company was on the verge of bankruptcy, a stranger believed in me. A banker named Thomas, who had no logical reason to approve my loan application. He saw something in me beyond the numbers on paper. He took a chance, and it changed my life. I've been looking for a way to pay that forward ever since, but I didn't know how. Then you fixed my car in a rainstorm and wouldn't take a penny. She extended her hand. Let me invest in you, Marcus. Not because you need charity, but because you deserve the same chance I got. The chance to build something extraordinary from your talent and integrity. Marcus looked at her outstretched hand for what felt like an eternity. Then, slowly, he reached out and shook it. Her grip was firm, her palm warm despite the cool garage air. I'll need to have a lawyer look at any contracts, he said carefully. Absolutely, Elena agreed. I'll pay for the lawyer. Independent counsel, your choice. I want you to feel completely comfortable with every aspect of this partnership. Over the next 3 months, Marcus's life transformed in ways he never imagined possible. The legal documents were fair, almost generous. Elena's lawyer and the independent attorney Marcus hired both confirmed that she was offering him an extraordinary opportunity with minimal risk. The property on the east side was in a prime location, zoned and permitted for automotive services. But more surprising than the business arrangement was the friendship that developed between Marcus and Elena. She started visiting the old garage regularly, bringing coffee and asking questions about cars with genuine curiosity. She met Lily one Saturday when Marcus had to bring her to work, and something magical happened. Lily, usually shy around strangers, was immediately drawn to Elena's warm smile and patient attention. Elena began joining them for Saturday lunches, trading her business suits for jeans and sweaters, laughing at Lily's jokes and listening intently to her stories about school. Marcus watched, amazed, as the Ice Queen CEO he'd heard about in business articles transformed into a woman who could spend an hour helping a 7-year-old build an elaborate castle from toy blocks. "You're good with her," Marcus said one afternoon, watching Elena and Lily draw pictures together at a diner booth. Elena's eyes glistened. "I had a daughter once, Sophia. She died when she was 6, leukemia. That was 12 years ago, and I threw myself into work so completely that I almost forgot what it felt like to just be with a child, to remember that joy." She looked at Lily with such tenderness that Marcus felt his throat tighten. "Thank you for sharing her with me." The new garage, christened Second Chances Auto Repair at Lily's suggestion, opened on a bright October morning. The ribbon-cutting ceremony was small, just Marcus, Elena, Lily, Marcus's mother Rosa, and a few reporters from the local business section. The building gleamed with fresh paint and new signage. Inside, 6 pristine service bays waited, equipped with tools Marcus had only dreamed about owning. Elena stood beside Marcus as the photographer snapped pictures. "This is all you," she whispered. "Your integrity, your skill, your heart. I just provided the building." But Marcus knew better. She'd provided so much more than that. She'd given him back his dreams, shown Lily that hard work and kindness could lead to extraordinary places, and reminded him that family could be built from friendship and mutual respect, not just blood. The garage thrived from day one. Marcus's reputation for honest work spread quickly, and customers appreciated the fair prices and transparent service. Within 6 months, they were booked 2 weeks in advance. Elena visited regularly, sometimes bringing lunch, sometimes just sitting in the customer lounge and working on her laptop, content to be near the sound of productivity and purpose. On Lily's 8th birthday, they celebrated at the garage with cake and balloons. Lily wore a mechanic's jumpsuit that Elena had custom-made for her, complete with her name embroidered on the pocket. She beamed as she blew out the candles on her cake, surrounded by the makeshift family that had formed around her father's kindness. "Make a wish." "Mija," Rosa encouraged. Lily closed her eyes tight, then opened them and looked around at the faces she loved. "I wish that we could always be together like this," she said simply. "All of us." Elena reached over and squeezed Marcus's hand, and he squeezed back. The garage around them hummed with possibility, built on a foundation of second chances and the simple truth that one act of kindness, offered freely on a rainy night, could change everything. Marcus looked at his daughter, at Elena, at the business they'd built together, and realized that sometimes the best investments aren't measured in money, but in the connections we forge and the lives we transform by simply choosing to help each other. The rain had stopped months ago, but its gift remained. A reminder that humanity, at its best, is found in the moments when we extend our hands to strangers and discover they were meant to become family all along.